Hello, everybody. We'll got some more people joining the waiting room, so we'll just give it a couple minutes here to make sure everyone gets in all right. All right, we've got no one else in the waiting room, so I'll go ahead and get started. For those of you that don't know, my name is Amanda Gubel Svensson. I am our Unified Sports Manager, so deal a lot with the schools and all of the sport related things that go on in within schools. Prior to this, I was our program support, which Jessica, she now holds that position. So she does a lot with our paperwork, registrations, all that kind of stuff. And with my prior experience in it, I offered to jump on this call, just kind of help out with anything. So Jessica, I'll let you introduce yourself and yeah.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Jessica, and I'm the program support manager. So I pretty much just help Dave with all the stuff, all the events, and everything like that. Doing a lot of the paperwork, making sure athletes are active in our system. And then I also have been doing young athletes as well. So different young athletes events with like community partners, or that we've had at like summer games, fall games, and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, and then we also have Dave on this call. So he is our director of sport and competition. And then also we have some members of our ALC or Athlete Leadership Council. We have Wyatt and Haley, Sherry, Rachel, Cindy. I don't know if I'm missing anybody. Sorry if I am. But at the end, they're just going to talk about opportunities that ALC has and what your athletes can do once they're done with school. Some more like leadership opportunities. They really help us out a lot with our events, planning, and executing all of our games. So they're a big help to us, and we love having them around as well. But to get started, so we're just going to go over the registration process as far as paperwork and event registration as well. So just kind of a refresher for some of you guys that might be new. I see a few school people on here. This process is for if you're wanting to bring your team to a community event. Um, so all of this isn't necessarily required right now for schools. It is something we want to be moving towards so that way everything is just the same across the board for all of our teams and delegations. But for right now, this is what our community side does. So if you're interested in bringing a school on the community side, this is a good place to be for you. So I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to talk about um, athlete paperwork and unified partner and coach paperwork. So this is our, can everyone see our homepage, the Sony homepage? Yeah, good. Okay. So up on the top here, under this tab, Get Involved, there is Become an Athlete, Become a Coach, Become a Unified Partner. So we'll start off with the athlete. Um, and then when you scroll down here, just talks about what it takes to be an athlete, the ages, all that kind of stuff. And then this box here is the registration form. So Jessica, if you want to kind of go through this, I'll scroll for you.
Yes. So, like she said, you're going to go to our website, and at those tabs at the top, you'll find where it says to become an athlete. And when you scroll down you'll see this on the screen. And this will take you like step by step of everything that we need to be filling out. So this is just the registration of what it is to become an athlete. So the first page is like your name, your gender, your birthday, your address, all of that, email, phone number, and then it'll have like what you are interested in participating in for the sport or activity. And then it'll have like your race and all of that. And then that's the front page. And then it'll go into your athlete code of conduct. So then at the bottom of that, you will sign that. So it will either be the athlete can sign it, or if you have a parent guardian, they can also sign that as well. And then you'll date that. And then the next form will be the athlete release, which is also known as the consent form. And then same thing at the bottom of that form, you will just, the athlete or parent or guardian can sign and date that. And then the next one is the waiver, which is pretty much the same thing at the bottom. You'll just have the athlete or parent or guardian sign or date. I do want to note that the consent form and the code of conduct, those do expire when an athlete is 19. So like if they sign it at 16 and then they turn 19, it's no longer like it has expired. So then we'll have to get it updated. So some people sometimes get confused by that. They're like, I submitted it. It's just because you turn 19. Once they turn 19, you don't have to sign it again. It's good for as long as they're an athlete with us. So, and then next is the athlete medical. So if you keep scrolling on the actual website, it'll be, and there's that red box that says athlete medical. If you click that, a PDF will pop up. And if you fill out the PDF, I would say getting all of this information is great, but I always say like the most important part is the last page where it says exam date, because a lot of people fill out the whole physical, which is great, but they miss the exam date, and then I have to tell them I can't actually accept this because we need that, because this form, it does expire every 3 years. So if that is not dated, then I cannot take it, and I have to reach out, and sometimes that people don't really like that. So just making sure that we always tell people that to make sure you get that exam date. But once you have filled that out, you can go back to the website with where you were at when you were filling out the athlete registration. And then it says right there, athlete medical, and you can attach the form. So a lot of times people will fill out the athlete medical or the athlete registration, and then they just submit it, and that's great, but you forgot to submit the athlete medical. So just making sure that once you fill out all the registration, that you're also doing the medical, and then you're attaching that document separately, and then you're good to go, and then you'll be active and ready to go.
All right, so similar spot here to become a coach. You just click on become a coach. And all of these look pretty similar. So again, talks about what it takes to become a coach. And then there's this box here with the registration forms again. So at the top here, it's just a reminder that if you are 16 or older, for the Unified Partner, they need to complete the protective behaviors training. And then if they're 19 or older, they do need to complete a background check. So again, top of this is just basic info, address, name, all that good stuff. And then we have the Category A volunteer registration. So this form does have to be filled out by any HOD, coach, or Unified Partner. It's all the same form. And then similarly again, they sign here. If they're under 19, parent or guardian. And then coach's code of conduct is down here as well. Same thing. Sign and date. COVID waiver, same thing. And then if you are over 16 or 19, there is the protected behaviors that renews every 3 years. Background check every 3 years, and concussion training for coaches is every 2 years. So you would just click this box here, and this takes you to the links you need for all of those different things. For the background check, sometimes you'll have to be asked to submit a good deed code. That is all right here on that same page. So right under the background check for unified partners, volunteer, coach, you just use those different codes. So all right there on the website. So once you complete these, something gets sent to Taylor, who is our volunteer coordinator. She keeps track of all of the coach and unified partner paperwork. So you don't have to submit anything for that. It just gets sent to her automatically. And then again, very similar for, oops, sorry, that was
Amanda, can I just
coach.
jump in? I
Yeah.
just want to reiterate, probably the number one question we get is when people go to fill out their background, it asks for that good deed code, and they haven't written it down or gone back to the page before to make note of that. And they're searching for it on the background page, and they're not going to find it because it's back on this page. So I just want to make sure that that's probably the number one thing that we get calls about is they're asking for a code. I don't have a code. I don't know where to get the code. So I want to make sure people are getting that from the bottom of this page here, whether it's um, unified partner or coach, or whatever, there's different codes for those. So I want to make sure they're using the correct one.
Yep. But yeah, and then I just clicked again on get involved, become a unified partner. It's going to look very similar to the coach and athlete kind of combined. Um, so again, all of your basic info. You have the Class A volunteer registration form, sign and date. Again, if you're under 19, parent or guardian. Athlete and unified partner code of conduct. Sign and date that again. COVID, sign and date. And then, yep, you just click again on this complete partner trainings. So again, if they're over 16, protected behaviors, if they're over 19, background check. And again, right under there is the good deed codes for all those different categories. So that is basically paperwork in a quick nutshell. Does anyone have any questions about paperwork specifically?
I do.
Yes.
So this is Nancy. So because you have this all organized a little bit better, does that mean that we no longer have to keep track of protective behaviors, background checks, things like that, that'll be automatically followed up by Special Olympics?
Yeah. So those two things have always been sent directly to us as long as you're using these links right here. And you're putting that you're with Special Olympics Nebraska, it should get sent to us. Sometimes it might not be automatic where so your GMS profile, which GMS is the system that we use to keep track of all of our participants and game registrations and stuff like that. It doesn't always automatically get uploaded to that. So there is this like a middle step for us where we have to go in and look, update it in GMS, and then you'll be all up to date. So, but yeah, it should be pretty automatic. But you guys as HODs, it's always good just to kind of, keep track of, where your unified partners and athletes might be. Just so that way, like when we do put out the missing paperwork report, you're not surprised by it. And you're kind of keeping track of what they need, which we know that's a lot to kind of keep track of sometimes, but we're also keeping track of the whole state. So we understand it's a big undertaking, but we also, are trying to make it as simple and streamlined as possible. So that way it's not a super difficult thing.
So then if we need like everything on that first page of the forms,
Mm-hmm.
I need that information, name, address, phone number, email, that kind of stuff. How do I get that? I mean, I've been emailing and saying, hey, can you send me their paperwork? Is that the way I should continue to do it?
Either that or at the bottom here, you can send a copy of responses. And if they want to put your email in there, then you can get a copy of everything.
But if they don't, how do then I just go through the system I've been going through of
Yeah.
emailing and saying I need.
Yep. Yep,
Amanda.
that is. Yes.
One more question, sorry.
Yeah,
So
no,
when
you're
I
fine.
did the missing paperwork for this year, there are so many listed under Omaha Tennis Buddies that I have number one, I have no idea who they are, or B, they need to be removed. They don't live here anymore, or we've got a couple that actually deceased. So
Okay.
what do we do with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the missing paperwork report and those kind of things pop up, just send either Taylor or Jessica a list, and then they can go in on our end and change their status so that way they don't pop up on those reports anymore.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Which
Uh,
I'll just add because I saw someone put in the comments the expired paperwork reports that is on my to-do list because I know we haven't had one updated in a while. So I am hoping to start that process next week for sure to get athletes done and then maybe start on the unified partners and stuff. And I know Taylor is going to be coming back too. So within like the next few weeks, hopefully to have all of that updated for everyone. So, but it like in the meantime, if you have anyone that you're like questioned about, feel free to send me a list or anything, and I can always look in GMS to see what they're missing, if they're active, inactive, or anything like that. And I don't mind doing that either. So,
Yep. And we had another question in the chat. Does this paperwork need to be done for students that are participating in the school sanctioned sports through the school, so unified bowling and track? So if it's through the NSAA, this does not pertain to that. This is just if they're wanting to compete in our community-based stuff. So our summer games, spring games, those kinds of things. But the NSAA has their own whole separate thing that your school's ADs and all of them work through and do that. So we don't require that for those athletes.
But I do want to say what sometimes gets confusing is parents or coaches that are doing those NSAA sports think, oh, they just bowled the NSAA, they're fine, they're already in with Special Olympics because they do this. That's not true. If they are going to compete in any of our sports, they do need to fill out our paperwork. So they can do the NSAA one, that's fine. But if they want to compete in ours, we do require this paperwork.
Yep.
I have one more question. Sorry, this is Nancy again. I have all the Creighton University players that do help us with Tennis Buddies during the year. They aren't competing at any activities or anything like that, just coaching. In the past, I've always done just the registration. Do they need to do protective behaviors and background checks when they're only there at a practice?
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Just because they are working with the athletes. And if they're volunteering as coaches, the coaches' paperwork is what they would need to be filling out.
Yeah, Nancy, if they're going to be around the athletes more than just the day of volunteers, which we just require a little half sheet of information, we would require the rest of this paperwork because they are around the athletes more than just that one day.
So Dave, they come for maybe 2 or 3 practices during the year. That's it. I mean, they're not in contact with them any other place.
I understand, but
you want the whole thing?
Yep. Unless they're just the day, unless it's a day of volunteer that's helping out for that 4-hour shift or whatever for the competition, we do require that they fill that out.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is Melissa out in Chadron. We had a question. Are you not accepting then hard copy paperwork then? Because we scan it and fax or email it in or send it in to you or things like that.
Yeah, that is still fine if you want to do the hard copies. We just have this option because we've learned it's a little easier so people don't have to worry about emailing, scanning, faxing, all that kind of stuff. This just gets sent directly to us. But if you still want to fax or mail or whatever, that's fine too. Yep.
This is Arlene Hastings, and I have a quick question. I have some school age that get beyond the school age and move up to my alumni group, if they have had physicals and so forth, and it hasn't expired in school age, is that still good in the alumni, or do we have to have a new physical?
As long as it's within that 3 years, they're fine.
Okay, and the paperwork can just be transferred also then? Or
Yep.
do we have to have new paperwork?
Nope, it can be transferred.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Jen in the chat said she's having people having a hard time with protected behaviors. The site is closed right now. I'm just looking at that. I know their portal, yes. So their portal is going under a little bit of renovation right now. Their learning portal. They said it's supposed to be open on the 15th, so the end of this week. So hopefully all those issues will be fixed with that. But yeah, if you're having any specific issues, just let us know, so then we can pass it along to the national office to see, if it's something that is going on with their end or what the issue can be. So yeah, so hopefully after Friday.
I have a question too. So you don't use the category B anymore for when we've had Concordia students help us. We were told that as long as they didn't participate in competitions, that they just helped through their class, that they could do a category B. Is that not possible anymore?
Dave, do you know anything about that?
I haven't heard of a category B in a long time, Donna.
Okay.
To be real honest with you, that's something I can dive into with Nate and see, and then we can
Okay.
just send a follow-up email out to everyone. So I'm gonna make a note of that, the category B, and
Okay.
look into that for you, all right?
Yeah, because that was where they didn't do the protective behaviors and the background
Yep.
check. They just did everything else.
Yep, I know what you're saying. I'll look into it.
Okay.
I'll make a note of that.
Okay, thanks.
So Dave, that could apply to my Creighton
Yep.
players too.
That's what I was thinking. That popped in my head too, Nancy. So
Yeah.
I'll look into that, and I'll make sure to email. We'll get an email out to everybody when we get the answer to that. All right.
Awesome.
All right. Any other questions about paperwork? All right. So now we'll move on to the registration process for events. And again, this is just on the community side. So like our state summer games, fall games. Coming up, we have our state flag football and soccer tournaments. So that is what I'm going to show you guys here. I'm going to share my screen again. All right. So again, we're on our homepage here. Up here in the corner is our member login. So this is where you can get to the coaches portal. And I'm already logged in, so it's just taking me here. And then gotta move my stuff. Over on the side here, under games and competitions, there is state flag football and soccer. I'm gonna click on that. And then the registrations are broken up by region. So I'm just gonna use East Central, for example, and it will download up here. So I'm gonna double click on that. And all right, are you guys able to see the registration now? Yep, okay. So then what you're gonna do is before you can do anything is click this enable editing button. And then that will let you edit it. So right now, like I said, I clicked on East Central. So it lists everybody that we have in our system that's registered with any delegation. So if you are wanting to look at just your delegation, these are all filtered. So you can click this down arrow here. If you unselect all of them, then you can scroll through to find yours. So let's just say we're Seward. You can click on Seward and click OK, and then it's going to show you just Seward. But if you know you have an athlete, say from the Lincoln Sharks, that they only do like football with you, for example, you can go back and I don't know why it's not letting me see all of them now, of course. Yeah. Maybe if I just undo it. There we go. You can always also use the find option. So if you on your keyboard hit Control F, it's going to let you search for a specific athlete. So I'm pretty sure Wyatt's on here, so I'm just going to search for him. And then you can just find next until you find the right Wyatt you're looking for. Right there, Wyatt Spalding. So then you can register him for the games. The biggest thing and the biggest issue we have with our registrations is this participating column. So you need to make sure that you put yes in there if they are participating. Because when we get these registrations sent back to us, that's how we filter them so we know who to register. So you could have, say you didn't put yes, but they're going to do unified flag football. You put in their qualifying score and everything, but you don't select this, they're not going to probably be registered. They're not going to show up on the heat sheets. So that's the biggest issue that we have when your athletes aren't on heat sheets or, we're missing them with team sports. It might not be that big of a deal, but those individual sports like bowling and bocce and track, we really, really need you guys to make sure that that says yes on there. So then you just go through the
Hey,
row
Amanda,
here.
would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Since you're on Seward right now, the one right, so go to the athlete Brandon back right below him and just fill out some of his information. Just yep.
Okay.
Don't click yes. I don't want yes on him.
Okay.
I just want you to fill that out, that right there.
Okay.
And then, so when we get it in is what Amanda's talking about, we'll have, 20, 30, 40 people on there. And so we sometimes won't see the yes either. So now when we get this back, we will just filter by participating. If you just click the yes, participating yes for me, we know we filled out two people's information. And this is all that we would see at the end. So when we cut it, that's what we see. Even though we know we filled out the other person, this is why sometimes we miss somebody. You go through the time to fill out everything else. We know that you filled out two people, but you only clicked yes on one. This is all that we see when it comes through. And then we try and figure it out later. Hey, you're missing this person and that person. We're missing, as Amanda said, something like bowling, where I need to find a lane in a division for someone. That's very difficult, as opposed to we missed the 9th person on the flag football team. We can just easily add him. It's not going to change the score or the division very much. But when it comes back this way, then we figure out, oh, this is what happened. They never clicked yes, but here he is. His qualifying score is 100. That's why we have to go back later and double check on these things, just to kind of show you what happens once we get the registration. Why things sometimes get missed on our end is because sometimes the majority of time, not always, but majority of time, just a yes is missed somewhere along the way when you are sending in the registration. And it's, again, when you get those bigger numbers, it's very easy to miss someone here and there, especially if you have someone that's not in your delegation that maybe does one sport with you, and they might be added down at the bottom. You just don't click the yes, but you fill out all the information. That's generally how they're missed. Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know who those unified partners are. Are they on the wrong team, maybe?
I don't know.
I've never heard of them before. And
All right.
Can you go through about when you're searching for an athlete again? Show me. I missed that.
Yeah. Yep. So just going back to you not knowing who those partners are, kind of with the missing paperwork report, if you guys notice people on there that I've moved away or have passed away or anything like that,
Okay.
just send us those names and we can take them off of this as well.
Okay.
But if you're gonna want to search for somebody, you hit on your keyboard Control F, and then you just type in whatever name you're looking for. You'll have to do either first name or last name. I don't think both would work since they're in different cells. So if I did Wyatt Spalding, we're not going to find him. So you need to do either first or last name when you're searching for them. And then it'll highlight, because let's just say I'm going to look for Carlos since he's right here. So and you just click next, find next until you need to find the correct one. And then, yeah, again, just make sure they're on yes. And then what event they're doing, their qualifying score, and then their team name. Team name is going to be super important if your delegation is registering more than one team. So that way we know how many athletes and partners are going to be on each team. And since they can only be on one team during the competition, we just got to make sure that they're all in the right spot.
Can I jump
So
in one more time also?
Yep.
Sometimes coaches or HODs will send in a team name, and I personally will change it a bit. It might be Carney green, Carney blue, Carney yellow. It's really difficult for volunteers sometimes when they're looking for them. So I might say Carney green, Amanda Dave, Carney yellow, Jessica Nate, just to kind of give some more distinction, because oftentimes a team will show up and they don't know they don't know what team they're on. They don't know if they're Carney green or Carney blue or Carney yellow. So I'm trying to figure out which athlete goes with what team. So when we get registrations, and sometimes I will tweak it a little bit, so it might not be the original one. Some coaches do 2 last names, which is great. Some coaches do 2 first names. Some coaches want to pick a theme, and they'll go with that. So I will sometimes tweak what you guys send in, so it might look a little bit different on the heat sheets or when things come in, just because it is difficult the day of the competition for our volunteers and people to try and find which athlete they're specifically looking for to get them to their correct court.
What makes that easier, Dave? What makes it easier for you? How should we name them to make it easier for you?
I generally go with a first name because unless you have 2 first names, I do a first name and last initial. And I don't mind the cute names on there. I can fit them, but I just need a name to go with that also. So if people do like a Carney blue, Carney green, Carney yellow, that is still fine. But I just need like at least a first name that'll match up with the other teammate on there. And really it's more for those doubles sports like bocce or bowling or something like that. That's really where it becomes difficult. When you have the larger teams, when you're playing softball or you're playing flag football and you have 9 or 10, that's fine. You know who your team is. But what makes it difficult is those doubles is when it really becomes a problem.
Yeah, and to kind of go along with that, like Dave was saying, that's more for like doubles, like bowling or bocce or tennis. These team sports, like for football, let's say Seward, you wanted to be, your team name was just, Blue Jays. We might put Seward in front of that, so that way we know we're looking for Seward. So that way, because some teams, they might submit more than one, and it might be the Bears or the Bulls or whoever.
We get
but
a
we
lot of
just
Mustangs also. There's probably 3 Mustangs in one competition one time, so that makes it a little difficult. So we have to distinguish which Mustang we're looking for.
Yeah, so we might throw your delegation name in front of it or behind it, just so that way we can kind of differentiate the schedules and divisioning and all that stuff as well.
Quick question is, to find a particular athlete, is it Control F also on a Mac?
I believe so.
Okay.
If it's not, don't hold that against me. I'm not a Mac person. But then also on the registration, say you had, somebody join your team before this registration came out, you can add them to the bottom here and just type in their information. It'll be in red, so that way we know, okay, this person might not be in the system. It's also might be a thing where I can think of one athlete who competes with some teams in the East region and some on the East Central region. So she might not be on, the East Central registration. So she's in our system, but still add her to the bottom. And then just their role, delegation, and then again with that, still make sure you put yes, they're participating. And then their events that they're in. So, and then once you have all of this done, you will file save as to your desktop or wherever it makes sense for you to save it, and then email that over to Jessica, and her email is right there. On all of our registrations, it'll have the due date of when the registration is due, when the competition is, where it's located, any kind of information like that that you might need. So,
Jen, to answer your question, yes, that's fine for those colors. And then Amanda, can you scroll over so they can see the second event that's happening on that weekend? So that's the first one in orange is the flag football. The second one is the soccer event. It's very similar. Are they participating in what are they doing? Are they doing the 5-on-5, unified, individual skills, qualifying score, team name again? So those two look very similar. And so you might only be doing one or you might be doing both.
All right. Any other questions about registration for events? All right. We'll have ALC.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't realize you were done with that part. If we can go back to the registration page.
Yeah.
And a couple things I just wanted to show. Nope, I don't want that sheet anymore. I want the actual our Sony website.
Okay. Like the coaches portal?
Yep, coaches portal.
Yeah. All right.
So if you scroll down, so we just had fall games. If you could click on fall games for me. Scroll down. So this was put up. This is stuff I try and put up about this time for our next game. So keep scrolling all the way down to the bottom. There'll be supplemental forms. So anything that has to do with basically anything in that sport that's kind of different than just the rules, I try and put on there. So if we go to where it says golf information 2024, and open that up.
Okay. Can you see it?
It's not up yet. It's still on the. Looks like it's spinning. Okay. So real quick, I was getting a lot of questions about how we were doing scoring this year. So this had been on there since 7 or 8 weeks beforehand. There was also one for bocce that talked about how we're only doing doubles and unified doubles. So if there's any forms on there, I try and put them at the bottom called supplemental forms. They'll also have how you get the qualifying score if you have questions about how many games do I need for bowling or what do I do for bocce or what do I do for golf. They will all be on there. So if you go to our ones coming up, which would be unified bowling and flag football and soccer, those are still going to say 2023 because I have been off for the last couple of days. And so Wednesday, I will go in and update those to 2024 if there's any changes to that from last year. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'll have those up, like I said, Wednesday when I get back to the office. I'll put the new supplemental forms if there's anything on there. We'll also have our food sign up. If you guys want food at the state games, we have that up. We try to have as much information on there as possible, like what the vendor is or what we're going to have, where it's going to be at, because a lot of times we'll have multiple stuff for a week, and so we want to make sure that you guys know when you're ordering food for basketball that you're ordering it for 3-on-3 at North Star or 5-on-5 at Northwest High, or sorry, Northeast High, so it doesn't get kind of confusing. So we try and have as much information on there as possible, and then when we need it due by, because we have to get that information to the vendor so they can start ordering the food about 7 to 10 days beforehand. And so our goal is always to get the information for you guys for registration, get a schedule out so you can actually see the schedule and see what times you're at, and then you can know if you want to order food. So that's why these timelines are very important, because I know you guys want to know when you're playing, let your athletes know if they need to get time off work, or parents or whoever's driving them. That's kind of where we have our timeline set. That's all driven by that, and then get the information back to us. We can set a schedule. You can see it. You can then order food, and then we can let the vendors know. So it's a big process of us going back and forth between the coaches and what happens at the office. That's let me see if I have any more notes. Update some food sign up. Nope. All right, now you can turn it over to ALC. Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna answer a question real quick in the chat. State swim results were posted. I just looked. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the Summer Games page, and the results are posted there. All right, now ALC, you guys can take over. I'm gonna Haley that QR code you sent me. It's not letting me. I'm gonna try to send it in the group, but I'll be working on that while you guys are talking.
Okay. So I'm Haley Wagner. I'm the president of Athlete Leadership Council, and I'll let all the members introduce themselves. So Rachel.
I am Rachel Mulligan, and I'm an athlete on the Nebraska Leadership Council.
Sherry.
I'm Sherry Gray, and I'm an Athlete Leadership Council for Hastings, Nebraska.
Cindy.
I'm Cindy Hamburger, Athlete Secretary for ALC with West Central Region, Hastings, Nebraska.
And Wyatt.
I'm Wyatt. I'm an ALC member, and I'm in the Lincoln region. So,
we are here today to talk to you about we're looking for more members of Athlete Leadership Council, and this group is everyone see my screen? Possible? Okay. So we are looking for new athletes to join our group. The council is formed of athletes. We report to program leaders about what is happening in our regions and across the state. We help plan a lot of activities. So our main things we plan is summer games, opening ceremonies, and closing. We volunteer a lot at the regional and state games. We do also fundraising events. So we're opening this up until end of October. And so the qualifications is you have to be 18 years old or no longer in high school. Willing to be a leader in our movement, either that's public speaking, in the education or government relations, and health messenger. And so this form is it's pretty simple. Just fill it out. We do ask the athletes to be involved in the Special Olympics for 5 or plus more years. And then at the end, there will be like a short paragraph about the athlete's Special Olympics story. Does anybody on our council want to share what it means to be on the ALC?
So to be on ALC, it's a great opportunity to learn how to be a good speaker. We all have gone through like speaking class throughout the years and learn to tell our stories through Special Olympics. It's a way to like for the athletes to put their voice out there and give their opinions and meetings like this of what they would like to see improve in Special Olympics. And it's just like Haley said, it's real athlete movement is, we're the ones playing, but also like with everyone that's given so much to us, we also want to give back and help Sony improve Special Olympics. So it's it's a great opportunity for all athletes. And another thing is they'll be put through like they can apply and put through an interview process, and you go through an interview process like you would to be on any board or job. So
And then there's a question in the chat. The meetings we meet monthly over Zoom, and then we do one in-person meeting, and that's usually at summer games.
I just put the link for the application in the chat as well. Couldn't get the QR code thing to work, so
That's okay.
but that link will take you there as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
How do you copy that link?
Nancy, I can just send it to you.
Thanks.
Yes.
No laughing.
All right. Any questions about ALC or anything else that popped up? All right. If not, thank you guys for joining. And as always, if you guys do have questions, we're here to help. Sherry, yes.
This isn't a question about ALC, but I'm looking to sign up for the USA Games. And when I go to the website, it brings up Orlando, Florida in 2022.
Yes.
Is that the same
Nope.
application or?
No, so Sherry, that's a good question. So we submitted our quota a couple months ago. They were supposed to have the quota request back to us the first week of August. I did see an email come through yesterday, which I just briefly looked at, talking about it was our quota request. So again, I'm not back at work till Wednesday. At that time, I will get with Nate. We will see if we got what sports they gave us. At that time, we will then start the process to update the website, update all the paperwork of what any athletes, coaches that want to apply will fill out. But those games will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 2026. So we'll be taking down the 2022 Orlando one. We'll update all that with whatever they need us to repost, and we will have that up here in probably the next couple of weeks.
Now, do you at least have to medal in something from state, or can it be from fall games too?
Fall games counts as well. It's fine. Yeah, it's this whole year of sports from, we started back in January. So, yeah.
All right.
This is Jan from York. Someone told me with the USA Games, so do the parents go along with the athletes, or the athletes go by themselves, or it's athletes and coaches? How does that work? Because I can't imagine some of our athletes going anywhere on their own.
So, Jan, that's a good question. If parents wanted to go, they would be on their own to go, but they would not be with their athletes. So one of the major things that you have to think about when you have an athlete that wants to go is, are they going to be able to be pretty much independent for about 10 days, 7 to 10 days? Will they be able to handle the travel, the being away from their family, to being with a coach they possibly have only met a couple times at practice, and not necessarily have the support that they're used to at a regional game or a state game where they constantly have a parent or guardian around them? So that's something to definitely consider when you are submitting an athlete or a unified partner for a sport. Because a lot of times it's a long travel day, and then you are around people that you don't know, and you really don't have a large support system that you might be used to. And I think, Rachel can speak to that more so than anybody, I'm sure, going to more so than just USA games, but even World Games.
Wow, that's kind of sad, but that they can't have more support there. But thank you, because yeah, that would eliminate a lot of our athletes from being able to go. So, but thanks for that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys all for joining tonight, for the info. Hope you all learned something and can take something back with you. And yeah, like always, if you have questions, just let us know. We're always happy to help out.
Thank you.
All right. Yes. Thank you guys. Have a good night.